Hey folks, Fernando doing our video for the Modern Survivalist, and continuing with the line of the previous video regarding police, I'm going to be showing you a couple videos of people being served and protected. Yes, it is a very tough job. All the respect in the world. Always keep in mind the individual. You never know who you're dealing with. These two examples illustrate very well how this can go very wrong depending on the kind of person that is actually wearing the uniform. You don't know who that man is. You don't know what he's actually made of other than he's wearing a certain type of clothes. Let's start with this one.
City is tasered, beaten, and pepper sprayed by police. They thought he was drunk, but he wasn't. He was in diabetic shock. CBS 4 investigator Brian Moss reports this tragic mistake is costing that city more than $800,000.
Carl Liedholm says he can't remember these moments from 2014.
At some point along the way, things started to get black.
When a run-in with Commerce City police left him battered.
My face looked like I'd been dragged by a chain behind a vehicle on the asphalt.
The 41-year-old father, who has type 1 diabetes, left work that afternoon feeling poorly. As he drove, it got worse, and he now believes he went into insulin shock. According to Commerce City police reports, witnesses saw him weaving, driving into oncoming traffic and into a ditch.
I'm not sure the exact mileage, sir.
The lead officer, Chris Dickey, said all signs pointed to one conclusion.
And you thought this was a drunk driving incident?
Yes.
How much had you had to drink before that incident?
Nothing. I've never had a drink of alcohol in my life.
By their own account, when police finally got Liedholm's truck stopped, he was forcibly removed.
Wait a minute. Of all the people you could protect and serve, this is probably the worst guy to do this. A guy that never had a drop of alcohol in his life.
Thrown to the pavement where he curled up in a fetal position. Unaware of his medical condition, when Liedholm did not obey commands, officers hit him with batons, tasered him 5 times, and pepper sprayed him in the eyes.
I'm coming out of this saying that I'm diabetic, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened, and they're telling me, that's a load of shit. F you, you're not diabetic. If you were diabetic, you wouldn't be fighting us.
Paramedics arrived and said his blood sugar was about 1/3 of what's normal. Officers concluded he had not been drinking. Liedholm's lawyer says what happened here clearly highlights one thing.
I don't think any of them had adequate training on how to recognize these signs of, in this specific instance, the diabetes that Carl was having.
It's a lot worse than that. It's not that they lacked the training so as to identify if the man was drunk or if he was suffering a diabetic shock or even a seizure from some other neurological condition or simply a stroke, something going wrong in your brain and you not responding correctly. I've unfortunately had one of my kids suffer one of these shocks when the glucose drops below a sustainable level. It is shocking. They become delirious. They just start babbling stuff that doesn't make sense. And the one thing I can assure you, you're not able to fight anything. All you're able to do is just barely move around tumbling and be incoherent, but you're not hostile. You don't have an unusual amount of strength. You're super weak, poor of balance, and not thinking straight. This man was not fighting the police. This man was simply struggling to stay alive and not able to probably stand on his own, talk coherently, and fend for himself. And these animals saw this as an opportunity to simply beat the crap out of him because they felt like doing that. That's all that this is. This guy was not on drugs, giving him like an unusual amount of strength or violence or being hostile. That's not what happens when your when your sugar levels drop to that degree. I've seen it firsthand. It is very impressive. You think that person will die. So these assholes probably thought, yeah, he's drunk, so I'm going to be beating the crap out of him because he crashed and went against traffic. It goes back not just to the it's not about training. It's about the lack of humanity some of these people have, and they're wearing a freaking uniform and they have a gun.
Put your hands behind your back, you're under arrest.
In this deposition, Officer Dickey described what was done to Liedholm, including using his baton.
So how far back did you reach before you struck him in the leg with it?
Probably just above.
Yeah, he bit the crap out of him, man.
Did you swing as hard as you could from that distance?
Yes.
The officer was asked if they had simply questioned Liedholm immediately. Could this all have been avoided?
There is a possibility that that information could have been obtained at the beginning, yes.
Now, Commerce City will pay $825,000 and avoid going to trial.
For half a dozen officers to treat me that way, it's beyond my
Half a
limits
dozen
to understand
officers,
why they would
man.
need to use such force.
I'm Brian Moth.
So the cops, they have their union, they have their back. You are the one stuck paying for this. You are the one that now has to pay a freaking $1 million because of these animals, beating the crap out of this poor guy that was having a medical emergency. Instead of having humanity and compassion, and instead of immediately thinking, I'm going to be tasing, beating the crap out of this guy, what if he's suffering a stroke? What if he's suffering a problem? Why is it that, did you immediately smell alcohol? Is he actually, even if he was drunk, is he actually fighting you? Even if he's drunk, that is also still a problem. That's a health problem if you have a substance abuse problem. That's not enough reason to beat the crap out of you. They did that because they felt like doing that. And now you, the city, the people have to pay for it. Another one of these beautiful examples.
Terrifying scene at an attempted traffic stop in Arkansas. You can see a state trooper deliberately bumping a woman's car, causing it to hit the median and then flip over. That woman was pregnant at the time. The officer said he performed the maneuver because the driver was speeding and did not
pit maneuver on a pregnant woman. Okay.
On the video that is now evidence
she could be a criminal. She could be escaping. No, she was trying to stop.
Janice Harper was on her way home from the movies last July when Arkansas State Trooper Rodney Dunn tried to pull her over for speeding. Video from Dunn's dash cam shows within seconds of turning on his overhead lights, Harper moves into the right lane, slows down and turns on her hazards while continuing to drive. About 2 minutes later, Dunn hits Harper's car.
2 minutes, he lost a patient, and he went with a fucking pit maneuver on this woman.
Caused the SUV to spin on the highway, hit the inside wall, and flip.
It rolled over. Give me EMS.
Dunn calls for EMS before pulling over and talking to Harper while helping her out of the car.
Are you the only one in the vehicle? Yes. Okay.
I'm pregnant.
Pull over when we stop. It doesn't matter, ma'am.
It doesn't matter, man. What a kind of idiot do these people have working as police?
No, ma'am. You pull over when law enforcement stops you. Okay?
Well, law enforcement... This is the people that is supposed to cover your back when things turn ugly. No, they're going to be coming after you, and they have no moral compass whatsoever. It is a tough job. I know some great people working in police, in military, a bunch of them. But the great majority is something like this or something in the middle. You don't have, and we saw it in the Uvalde video, all of those guys just staying there.
But an Arkansas State driver's license guide says when being stopped by law enforcement, you should activate your turn signal or emergency flashers
of course.
To indicate to the officer that you are seeking
It's the most normal thing all over the world. When you're being stopped, you slow down, you flash so as to signal to the officer, yes, I saw you. Maybe you were distracted and you didn't even see him. When you see him, you flash your lights so as to, tell the officer that's trying to stop you, yeah, I got you, I see you, and you start slowing down and looking for a safe place to park. You don't immediately hit your brakes because some lunatic is going to be doing a pit maneuver on you because you don't stop within 2 minutes.
A new lawsuit from Harper claims there were no exits or a shoulder for Harper to safely exit the highway.
We call it a pit maneuver when people flee from us or don't.
When people flee from us, she was not fleeing. She was slowing down and looking for a safe place to park. A lot smarter than this idiot cop that just want to stop in the middle of the highway. Do you have any idea how many cops actually get killed? Because when you have to stop in a highway like this, it's usually the cop that gets hit by traffic when he steps on the side of the window of the vehicle he just stopped. So the woman was actually the one with the most common sense. Of course, this is just too much to expect from some of these people, and here's the woman.
She thought she was going to lose her baby.
What if I had kids in the car?
Of course. Anyway, what happens? Well, you settle. Arkansas State Police settles in suit over pursuit maneuver. Yeah. So $500,000, maybe $1 million, something along those lines is what this poor woman got, and she deserves every cent and more. But you're the one paying for this with your money, not the cop, not the politician that had him there, not the chief of police that hired these idiots. No, you pay for it. So you see where this is going. When we look at these things and analyze how things will continue to develop, will local police have my back? No, they will not. Local police will not have your back one damn bit. This is what you expect from the police around you. You have great cops? Sure. They're a huge minority, and that minority is getting thinner and smaller by the day because the environment in which we are in, the culture in which we are in, simply does not correlate with the kind of people with principles, with certain values, with drive to be good at their jobs to join this this organization, to be part of the enforcers of the government, which is basically what police is. Because yes, as someone mentioned in one of the previous videos, the police has no duty to protect you. That's simply not the case. Yet again, police have no duty to protect you. Federal court affirms yet again. Time and again, it has been said, no, there's no duty to protect you, which it makes sense to a point where, something bad happens to me in my house, I should sue the cops because they failed to protect me. Well, yeah, good luck with that. It won't work. It's not only that. They don't even have a duty to protect you when they're standing right next to you as you're getting shot and your children getting shot, like it happened in the Uvalde school shooting. They don't have a duty to do that either. They can just say, yeah, screw that, I'm not doing this. No. Okay, guys, you understand where I'm going with this. It is very clear that you're dealing with a situation where you have to understand that you have to look after yourself. In terms of pit maneuver, I actually explained this. If you got Street Survival Skills, which is my book regarding a lot of practical aspects of preparedness, survival, including self-defense, including defensive driving. In my book, I explain how to perform a pit maneuver. It's only on a life or death situation where it's equivalent to use of lethal force. It's just as potentially lethal as drawing your gun and shooting someone. So you have to be very certain that the situation calls for that. If the vehicle is going at above 30 miles per hour, give or take, beyond that, you're pretty much assured that that's gonna be rolling over and people there will be seriously hurt. But it could even be less than that, depending on the vehicle, depending on the kind of road you're in. If it hits a curb or something, it could easily. So you always consider it something potentially lethal and you don't mess around with it. But if you want to learn how to perform those and a bunch of other things, Street Survival Skills, this is becoming more and more important because of what I'm explaining here. You have to cover your own back. You have to look after yourself. Not only that, when things get worse than what they are already, it's going to be even more important. And don't just go around trusting. One of the core aspects of individualism and freedom is we are all different and we're all one unlike the other. You just don't know who is behind that uniform. There's no this stupid idea of collectivism, of people being like ants all the same, that goes against at least my core values of, no, that's an individual. I don't know who that guy is. He has a gun on his hip, on his belt. He's wearing a certain uniform. Okay, that means nothing for me other than he's working for a certain organization. And I know some great people that work in similar ones, and I know some pretty crappy people that do that as well. So I'll have to take it as an individual. You should as well. Folks, and in terms of the economic aspect, as always, you have surviving the economic collapse. More on this in following videos because inflation is going through the roof, and that's going to be the topic of the following videos. But if you want to check these out and Street Survival Skills, you have it there in the links below, available in Amazon. See you in our next video, folks. Take care.